Politics. Patty, over to you.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks. And again, welcome back to our Washington newsroom. Just 24 hours ago, few thought we would be saying this, but Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. There have been few campaigns in American history where we knew less about the specifics. He has not laid out many concrete policy plans, but we want to try and get a sense of what Mr. Trump might do in office. So we are joined by Douglas Sloan. He's the senior principal consultant at National Capital Strategy, a Democrat. James Norton, he is the president of Play Action Strategies, a Republican. Gentlemen, I thank you for joining us. I think right now everyone in the world is going, what happened? So my question to you both, racism or revolution? What was it?
I would say revolution. More so than I would say racism. It was the uneducated, or rather not uneducated, although some uneducated. Undereducated or the non-college educated white vote that came out in droves. There wasn't a huge showing of the African-American vote, but that was to be expected because Obama wasn't on the ticket. And then I was a little surprised that the Hispanic vote, actually they had a solid contingent there for Donald Trump. So I would say that this was a revolution, but also maybe so much that people weren't feeling the Democratic candidate. Nobody seems to like Hillary too much.
That's mean.
But it's true.
She's had a bad day, but no, yes, but go ahead.
Sure, no, absolutely. I think that if you look at Bernie Sanders, certainly he had a revolution going in the Democratic primary. He wasn't able to make it over the top. You might have had a different race had it been a Bernie-Trump race in terms of their both messages of kind of being outsiders of Washington. There definitely was an outsider change election. I think it shows that identity politics aren't necessarily how people vote. I think I'd probably borrow the 92 campaign slogan, if it's the economy, stupid. And it seems like people were voting their pocketbooks, and that had a lot to do here with economics and kind of looking to get the country going economically.
Just for the viewers who don't know, you weren't just calling me stupid. That was the thing from the last campaign. Okay, yeah. Guys, I want to go through some very different topics. I want to try and get through all of them. So just quickly, we don't really know what Donald Trump's going to do, but if you want to both weigh in, will he build the wall, and can he make Mexico pay for it? Okay, he can't make Mexico pay for it. Will he build the wall? He's got Republican control of the House and Senate. Is the wall being built?
I don't see how he does. I think the latest Washington Post estimate put that at $25 billion. And he's been saying all along, I mean, out the box from his first campaign appearance, that he was going to get Mexico to pay for it. So how do you build a wall on the backs of American taxpayers to the tune of $25 billion and, completely ignore your campaign promise that, it's going to be free because they're going to pay for it?
Because he wants to take remittances, which I think the courts, even a Republican-leaning Supreme Court, would say is unconstitutional. You want to weigh in on the wall or move on?
Sure. I mean, I think in 2006, Congress actually passed the Secure Fence Act of 2006, which actually legislated a wall along the border from San Diego all the way through Texas. So there's actually legislation on the books and there was a process to move forward that actually was bipartisan that had support for a wall. So there's actually some pieces of an electronic fence and some other parts of the wall that are already there. If he was to pragmatically look at it and say, okay, the Homeland Security budget is about $50 billion a year, are there ways to look at the Customs and Border Patrol budget to implement some sort of a process to have more safeguards, more Border Patrol agents, those kind of things. I think there have to be some sort of compromise and work with Congress to try to figure out how to institute more security.
Nobody builds walls better than him. It's going to be a great wall. Iran nuclear deal says he's going to throw it out and renegotiate it. Seems to me the other countries would just say, no, we've already done that we're involved. But do you think he makes an attempt, or was this just playing to the base?
I think he's going to have to work with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is going to be the new Senate Minority Leader, and I think that relationship is going to be a key tenet to how the Obama foreign policy, the Trump foreign policy goes forward. And so I think we really need to watch and see how that relationship is fostered over the next couple months, and especially with things like the Iran deal, which was so controversial under Obama and during the presidential campaign. And Chuck Schumer weighed in on that quite a bit as a leading senator from New York.
So you think he tries to renegotiate it because Schumer was against it?
I think he's going to have to, absolutely get some bipartisan consensus and kind of look at it and see what's possible.
Healthcare. We've already heard from the Republicans in the Senate. That's going to be number one. They're getting rid of Obamacare. So what's the result?
10 million people lose their health care coverage. This is going to be a hard pill to swallow for middle America when we have all these millions of people that got health care coverage under Obamacare that are now going to lose it. Now, he keeps saying repeal and replace, but replace with what? Again, the specifics are a little foggy on exactly how you're going to replace that. So, right now, with the Republican-controlled House and Senate, there's no reason not to do it. There's nothing holding you back. So you know that some congressman is going to come forward saying we need to get rid of this right now, and let's just focus on the details later. But again, people are going to suffer.
All right, NAFTA. Can the president throw it out on his own? President Obama.
Well, I think that you're going to have to look at one of his priorities is corporate tax cuts. And, can he work with Congress to cut taxes? The corporate tax rate is around 45%. Can he bring that down to 10 or 15%?
It isn't 40. Everyone says it isn't 45% because major companies don't often pay taxes because there's so many deductibles. You should ask Donald Trump because he hasn't paid taxes in about 18 years. But anyway, corporate taxes.
Sure. No, I think that'll be a key piece of the discussion, whether or not he's able to renegotiate NAFTA and bring Mexico and Canada to the table and kind of understand if there is a process to move forward. I think bringing business back, especially the automakers and other things like that. There was the air conditioning company that was a big deal in Indiana that left during the campaign, which became a big momentum for the
He's going to shame them into coming back.
Sudden changes in trade policies and tariffs can often lead to job losses. So that's something he's going to have to be very wary of.
All right, guys. Well, may you live in interesting times. Thank you for joining us. And it is very interesting. Douglas, in a show of bipartisanship, is wearing his Donald Trump tie,
Donald Trump
which was made in China.
Here it is, Donald Trump, and yes, made in China.
He's reaching out.
I'm
he's
reaching
blue.
out. I'm being
the blue
supportive
Trump
of our
tie.
new commander-in-chief.
Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thank you.
The one thing that is definite is he has said he is going to throw out the Paris Climate Agreement, and as president, Donald Trump can do that with a stroke of a pen. So we're going to have to see what happens in the first few days. But again, may you live in interesting times. For now, Julie, back to you.